If what we're seeing is a world where governments and the largest financial institutions in the world are acquiring all of the Bitcoin and even going to the length of where they will hack to get that Bitcoin, then Bitcoin is not going to be the solution that everyone thought it was. Because now that money, that like sovereign money, is in the hands of these nation states. And if we have money in the hands of the nation states, then guess what? That dream is gone. Zcash, to me, guys, is giving us a signal of what's actually possible in this market, period. Uh, because we haven't seen a lot of strength from any altcoins. Like nothing in the altcoin market has done this. And at a certain point, you get to the where it's like, okay, well, Bitcoin is literally the only thing. All the Bitcoin maximalists have been 100% right this time. Okay, like period. Up until I would say up until Zcash just did what it did, like all the Bitcoin maximalists were just right, just objectively. no, no altcoin season, no nothing. It's Bitcoin only. Shout out to Benjamin Cohen. Shout out to all those guys that are straight Bitcoin maximalists. Um, they've been winning this whole time. Now, Zcash, right? The concern. Let's talk about what the concern is. And I actually saw Charles Hoskinson. He just put out a really cool chat this evening. Shout out to Charles Hoskinson. What an amazing guy. He put out a chat this evening where he talks about how you choosing to sell your crypto is opting into the system that has enslaved you. He calls it like a Stockholm syndrome kind of thing. Now, stick with me for a second because this is actually going to make sense. If, right, what's happening with Bitcoin is that these institutions are coming in and buying it up, and countries, right, are buying it up or at least holding it and accumulating and seizing Bitcoin. Oh, we got to talk about that. Oh my goodness. We got to talk about this, y'all, because China has accused the US of orchestrating a $13 billion Bitcoin hack. By the way, I don't know if you guys saw that. So, China's cybersecurity agency accused the American government of orchestrating the theft of about $13 billion worth of Bitcoin, representing China's most recent attempt to attribute major cyber attacks to the US. The theft of 127,000 Bitcoin tokens from the Lubian Bitcoin mining pool that took place in December 2020 ranks as one of the largest crypto heists in history. The hack is likely a state-level hacker operation led by the US, according to Chinese National Computer Virus Emergency Response Center. Now, I bring this up because if what we're seeing is a world where governments and the largest financial institutions in the world are acquiring all of the Bitcoin and even going to the length of where they will hack to get that Bitcoin, then Bitcoin is not going to be the solution that everyone thought it was. Because now that money, that like sovereign money, is in the hands of these nation states. And if we have money in the hands of the nation states, then guess what? That dream is gone. Okay. And then Ben on Memes and Markets pointed out that Naval Ravikant had this beautiful quote where he said, Bitcoin is insurance against fiat. And Zcash is insurance against Bitcoin. Okay. So hopefully you understand what I'm trying to do here and how I tried to tie that together. Because Zcash, for anyone who I guess who just doesn't even know, is a privacy preserving cryptocurrency. It uses zero knowledge proofs in order to make sure that information is not necessarily revealed about the identity of the user. You can reveal your identity, but you don't have to. Whereas with Bitcoin, it's inherently there in the fact that your pseudonym is in the open. And that pseudonym, your wallet address, can be very easily linked to, for instance, your IP address. Oh, you guys can't even see me. Oh, my camera's off. Oh, my goodness. But the point is here that if you're going to get institutions and governments around the world buying Bitcoin, then it's not this freedom from the system. It's not. I'm sorry. I'm so Betty Sadi. But that's not what it is, ladies and gentlemen. So in that situation, then we've got to have some alternative. And Zcash, okay, presents that potential alternative to that system. And so Zcash going up like this very massively in a random time like this, I don't think it's too random. I think there's a narrative around stablecoins coming into place, the potential for central bank digital currencies to being implemented. If you look at what's happening in the euro, in the Eurozone, if you look at what's happening in the United Kingdom, they're not playing around when it comes to, oh man, oh, who was it that just dropped that video today? Oh no. I think it was CoffeeZilla and someone else. Oh no. They were talking about how somebody dropped a video talking about how the country with the most arrests in the past year for tweets that were released. Let me let you guys guess what country in the world had the most arrests based upon social media posts. It's actually not that difficult of a question. It's the United Kingdom. It was like 12,000 arrests that happened in the past year because of social media posts. Now, I make that point because, quite honestly, we are moving into a world where things like that could become the standard. Now, this was where Charles Hoskinson, right, was pointing this out in his video that he put out tonight. His live streams are always fantastic. Always tap into his live streams. That's the future. And so what Charles was saying was just opt out and choose crypto, right? Opt out and choose Bitcoin. And I'm sitting here and I'm just like, I don't know if that logically makes sense to me. Like the problem, what's happening with Zcash right here makes logical sense to me, right? Because that is a potential actual opt out. But Bitcoin and regular crypto, that's not privacy preserving technology, doesn't necessarily fit the bill of opting out of the system because now the governments own the Bitcoin. So now, and let me like actually make that make sense because it's like, oh, well, what difference does it make that they own the Bitcoin, that they cannot, like control the Bitcoin per se? Well, that's also questionable. And when it comes to that hack, right, that mining pool, one of the largest mining pools in China, I imagine, getting hacked potentially by the United States government, like this technology is not as secure as like we're being told. All right. And so when it comes to thinking about, how do I say this? How do I say this politely? When it comes to thinking about choosing Bitcoin as a way to opt out from the system, I just personally don't believe that that's a real option. Like you're putting, because if you're saying, okay, we need to buy more Bitcoin or hold Bitcoin, well, they own all the Bitcoin and will continue to own more and more of it. And so in that situation, what you're going to get is a world where actually you're buying into an even worse version of that system. And you guys have heard me say this. This is my second biggest video on the channel is what they're not telling you about Bitcoin or whatever, what they're not telling you about crypto. What they're not telling you about crypto is that the majority of these Bitcoin is held by a very, very few hands. And we don't even know who these people are. We don't even know who Satoshi is. Yet we're supposed to believe that this is freedom money and that this is the new future of the world and it's going to be a rebellion against the system. It's like, who said that Bitcoin was not created out of that same system? That is definitively a non-zero chance. Definitively non-zero. And in fact, when you look at stuff and you look at where the underlying technologies of what Bitcoin is, it all came from the NSA. SHA-256 came from the NSA. I digress. Point being, that's why I think Zcash is going off. If you enjoyed this, then you would absolutely love my show with Ben Levitt called Memes and Markets. We go live every Tuesday and Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern, where we go into topics like this more in depth and in real time. click the link in the description to subscribe to Memes and Markets, and I will see you over there on Tuesday and Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern.